Silent Tactic is out. Great White is in. How does that affect this year's Kentucky Derby? Hey guys, I'm Marco D'Angelo for Wager Talk TV, and I'm going to tell you how this scratch affects this year's Kentucky Derby. Great White gained a spot on Wednesday morning when number 13, Silent Tactic, was scratched with bruised heels. Now, that moves Great White into the race. He is saddlecloth number 21 for betting purposes. He'll break from post 20 in the Kentucky Derby when a horse scratches, and in this case it was number 13. All the horses outside of him, starting with number 14, move inside one post position. So what does that do? Well, guess what? Number 18, Further Ado, now is breaking from post 17. Remember, post 17 is the post position that has never won the Kentucky Derby. So I'm sure anybody that's superstitious in the Further Ado camp, not so happy about that. But here's how it changes the race from a strategic standpoint and what's going to happen. Great White is going to have to leave from post 20. Being out there on the outside, he does have gate speed. He's going to leave to try to get position before they hit that first turn. So with him leaving, I expect him to leave hard and try to drop in behind the pace setter. Who's going to be that pace setter? Well, you're going to see moving along in this race, number 17 is going to be the horse that breaks out of there with the most speed when the gate opens. He will land on the front end. Now, that doesn't mean there's not going to be other speed. Number 4, Litmus Test, has only one choice. He's got to go forward, and he's got to go forward hard, or he's going to get swallowed up by that field of 20 horses. This is a horse that has to be on or near the lead. So they're going to leave hard with number 4. They're also going to leave hard with number 8, So Happy. Now, So Happy doesn't want the front end, but he wants to be in a position probably sitting 3rd, 4th, or 5th just off of those leaders. To do that, he's going to have to break out of the gate. Also, same horse that he raced against in California in the Santa Anita Derby, number 14, Potente, he's got the same trip in mind. He's going to break from post 14 and look to drop in somewhere between 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So you've got 2 more horses leaving for post position. And let's not forget number 18, Further Ado, who, as I said, will be leaving from post 17 now. He's going to leave and look for position as well. He'll want to sit probably 5th, 6th, or 7th in the early going to make his move later. With all of that said, this guarantees, in my opinion, that we're going to get honest to fast fractions. I already thought we were going to get a speedy first half in this race, but this pretty much guarantees that we will see that. If you're someone betting the closers, this is a benefit to you. The faster they go the first half of the mile, the slower they come home the last half of the race. And that sets up for closers coming from behind. What it also does is when you have faster fractions in the early going, it has a tendency to string the field out. When you string the field out, it creates less traffic problems. Think about, the horses 1 to 20 being all clumped together, tightly bunched if they're going slow fractions. It makes it tougher to maneuver through the field because there's not going to be as many gaps. Think of it as riding a car and how many car lengths you're behind the car in front of you. If they're going fast, everybody's going to be spread out more, which means when a horse like Renegade stuck down on the rail is going to have a chance to get out and maneuver for better position when he wants to make his move. So I think this sets up for all of the stalkers and the closers to race well in this year's Kentucky Derby. So it may be a meaningless scratch moving in a 50-1 shot in Great White, but it changes the whole strategy of the race and how it's going to play out. Hey, I'm Marco D'Angelo. If you enjoy videos like this with information about the Kentucky Derby, hit the thumbs up button. It really helps the channel out. And if you want to make sure you never miss a video with information like this, there'll be breaking news all week leading up to the Kentucky Derby. Hit the subscribe button. You won't miss a video. We'll notify you every time there's a new video. Also, check out our big Kentucky Derby preview show. Myself, Kelly in Vegas, and Sean Alvarez break down the Kentucky Derby for you. We give you our picks, our live long shots, and break down the race, how we think it's going to play out. Until next time, I'm Marco D'Angelo. I'll see you in the winner's circle. 4 jockeys in 6 races. Why does nobody want to drive Commandment? Hey guys, I'm Marco D'Angelo for Wager Talk TV, and this is our continuing series of the Kentucky Derby preview. We're going to take a look at Commandment in this video. And Commandment's a horse that's won 4 races in a row, but he's going to be having his 4th jockey in 6 career races. This is the only horse to have not 1 but 2 100 buyer speed figures this season in the Kentucky Derby, and he's a horse that's won 4 in a row races, but he can't keep the same jockey. That's got to be a telling tale here for us to take a look at. With that said, 4 different jockeys in 6 starts. Let's look at what he's had. Going back 4 starts ago, he had Irad Ortiz Jr. He rode him for his first 2 wins in the Macho Man and the Fountain of Youth. But he decided when it was time to go to the Florida Derby, instead of sticking with Commandment and racing at Gulfstream in the Florida Derby, he decided to go to Arkansas and race at Oaklawn Park in the Arkansas Derby, where he rode Renegade. He also won that race that day and decided to stay with Renegade throughout the Derby Trail. Flavian Pratt picked up the mount for him in the Florida Derby and won with Commandment. Even off the win, Flavian Pratt didn't stay with Commandment, as he was already committed to riding Emerging Market for Chad Brown. You look at these 4 wins in a row, though, by Commandment, a couple things stand out. Each margin of victory keeps getting smaller. His last 2 wins were by a neck and then by a nose. And if you look at those last 2 wins, he got the absolute best of the perfect trip in the race. 2 back when he beat Chief Wallabee in the Fountain of Youth, he went inside, saved a ton of ground, where Chief Wallabee was on the outside throughout the final turn and gave up a lot of ground. And that was the difference in him winning that race by a neck over Chief Wallabee. In the next race, the Florida Derby, he won by a nose. He got up right at the wire to beat the Puma. In that race, the Puma made a wide move to get to the lead and then moved to the inside, and Chief Wallabee tried to split horses but got pinched off, and Commandment was on the outside with the perfect run down the stretch. It took the entire stretch for him to get up at the wire, but he got there. My concern with Commandment is he is going to be coming from behind again. Now, this is a horse that does have tactical speed, so he'll probably get away mid-pack. So he's not going to have to navigate the entire field, which is a big plus. We like to have horses that are a stalker in the Derby rather than a stone-cold closer. Why? Well, if you're a stalker, you're probably going to be in mid-pack, somewhere around between 8th and 10th, meaning you only have, 9 or 10 horses at the most to navigate to get around. If you're a stone cold closer, you're coming from way back. If you're sitting 17th or 18th, you've got the entire field to navigate, and you can run into road troubles where you might have to check your horse and wait to get to a hole. Commandment shouldn't have that problem, but I am concerned with the fact that each race has been getting tighter and he's had the best of the trips. I think that's a sign. The couple other horses in this race are a little better suited for the Kentucky Derby, and he picks up Luis Saez, who is a great jockey, but I've always felt that Luis Saez is better on a horse that's on the lead or right near the lead rather than a horse that's coming from behind. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and say you've got to use Commandment on your ticket, but I think there's better value with other horses in this race as far as the win bet goes. So for Commandment, he'll be on my exactas and trifectas, but I'll be looking to put another horse on top. If you like this video, guys, do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single Kentucky Derby video. I'm going to be putting up Kentucky Derby content right up to the start of the Kentucky Derby. And then when we get to Kentucky Derby week, once post positions are drawn, we're going to have the big Kentucky Derby preview show. So do us a favor, hit that subscribe button right now. You won't miss a video. And if you like these videos and you want to see more of them, give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel out. I'm Marco D'Angelo for Wager Talk TV. I'll be back with more Kentucky Derby preview videos here on the channel. Chief Wallabee. He might just be the best horse in the Kentucky Derby, and he almost didn't get in. Hey guys, I'm Marco D'Angelo for Wager Talk TV, and this is my continuing series of the 2026 Kentucky Derby preview. Today, we're going to take a look at Chief Wallabee. Chief Wallabee, as I said, might just be the best horse in the Kentucky Derby, but he almost didn't get in. He finished the season outside of the top 20 in points earned for the Kentucky Derby. So he needed a couple horses not to go to the Derby. And there's been a couple horses that have withdrawn from the Kentucky Derby, letting him get in. And why do I think he is a horse to be reckoned with, even though he didn't have enough points to qualify? Well, he's only had 3 career starts. In his first start as a maiden, he won a maiden special weight race. He came from behind, swooped the field in the stretch, and was very impressive. In that second start, trainer Bill Mott decided to put him straight into a stake race, and it was a big one. It was the Grade 2 Fountain of Youth race. And in that race, he ended up finishing second, which is incredible for a horse making his second start and only racing in a maiden race. In that race, he finished second to a horse named Commandment. Now, we all know about Commandment. He's won 4 races in a row and will be one of the Derby favorites, if not the favorite. But in that race, he only lost by a neck to Commandment. And if you go back and watch that race, you will see that Commandment got the best of the trip. Commandment shot up the inside and came through to win by a neck in the stretch, but he saved all the ground coming up the inside. Whereas Chief Wallabee had to go wide in that race in the turn and covered a lot more ground. And I also think that because Chief Wallabee was on the outside and Commandment came up the inside, I don't think Chief Wallabee actually saw the horse coming. And so often young horses, when they don't see a target in front of them, sometimes ease up thinking the race is over, that they accomplished what was needed to be done. That's called greenness or inexperience with a young horse. And that's clearly a possibility, only being his second lifetime start. Well, in his third start, he took on the big boys again. It was the Florida Derby. And in that race, he finished third. But who did he finish third to? Well, Commandment won that race, and the Puma finished second in that race. He only got beat a half a length in that race. Think about it. He is less than a length from being undefeated. He's had 3 career starts, a win, a second, and a third. Now, going back to that Florida Derby and him finishing third, if you watch that race, he was tucked down at the rail the entire race. He had a horse obviously in front of him, and he had a horse to his outside. He never had clear daylight in that race. He had to wait in the stretch to try to get out, and he had to move the horse sideways to get to the outside because he couldn't come up the rail. It didn't open up. He lost momentum going sideways to get out. Whereas the Puma had the jump on him as Puma swooped the field to get to the front. Commandment then came up on his outside of him and got the jump on him to position on the outside. So he had to wait to move to the outside. And once he got to the outside, Commandment was already in full flight and he had to get in gear. The problem was when he did get in gear, he was in gear in between the Puma on his inside and Commandment on his outside. It was a narrow opening. I can tell you, I own racehorses and I breed racehorses, so I understand this. Young horses don't like to go through small openings. And I think that deterred him from getting his full stride, plus the fact that he lost his momentum going sideways. But he still was racing game to the finish line. I think with an open trip to the outside, he would have done much better in that race, or if he would have been able to come up the inside clean if it would have opened up. Now, in his fourth start, this is a horse that's gained experience in each of his 3 previous races. He's also had a 100 buyer speed figure and a 99 buyer speed figure in his last 2 races. This shows that this horse is still on the improve. There's only a handful of horses that have even had a triple-digit buyer figure this season. So it puts him right in contention with the top contenders. But he's not going to be bet like a top contender because he lost to the Puma. He lost to Commandment twice. And losing to the Puma, finishing 3rd behind him, if you go back to that maiden race, guess who he beat in that maiden race? His first start of his career. Yeah, it was the Puma. This horse is only getting better. And I think he's sitting on a big race going into the Kentucky Derby. One more key note with Chief Wallabee. Bill Mott made an equipment change after the Florida Derby. He's added blinkers to Chief Wallabee. This will get his attention and keep him more focused. And he has been training very well in the blinkers. Everything's adding up for a big run in the Kentucky Derby for a horse that's going to get lost on the tote board to some of the other favorites. If you like Commandment and you like the Puma, you got to like Chief Wallabee at a better price. Look for Chief Wallabee on Saturday, maybe to spring the big upset as a very live underdog. I'm Marco D'Angelo. If you like these videos, do us a favor. Hit the thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to the channel. Why? Because you'll never miss a video from me. And I'm going to have videos, Kentucky Derby information on all of the horses leading right up to Kentucky Derby Day and Kentucky Derby week. Once they draw post positions, we'll be back with our big Kentucky Derby preview show where we break it all down for you. So be sure to hang out here on Wager Talk TV. I'll see you next time. Further ado, is he the best of the 3 Brad Cox entries in this year's Kentucky Derby? I'm Marco D'Angelo for Wager Talk TV, and we're going to preview Further Ado here in our series of the upcoming Kentucky Derby as we continue to preview all of the horses in this year's Derby that I feel are contenders. Let's look at this Further Ado horse as he is part of the 3-headed monster of Brad Cox. He's got 3 horses in this year's Kentucky Derby. He's got Commandment, Full Effort, and Further Ado. 3 of those 5 horses are the top 5 point earners in this year's Kentucky Derby race. So definitely he's got a powerhouse stable. Now, even though Further Ado owns the highest buyer speed figure of any horse in this year's Kentucky Derby, he lost his rider for this race. Irad Ortiz rode him at Keeneland in the Bluegrass Stakes, and I was there to witness that race in person, and it was an impressive display. He won that race by 11 lengths and posted a 106 buyer speed figure. Nobody's come close to that, the other contenders in this year's Kentucky Derby. But even with that said, Irad is picked off of Further Ado. He has decided to race Renegade. He's ridden this horse for the last 4 starts. So he knows how good this horse is, but he also knows how good Renegade is because he's been riding that one as well. Now, there was a lot of speculation that maybe he took this race and decided to ride Renegade for Todd Pletcher out of loyalty to Todd Pletcher and to Mike Rapoli, the owner. And that really is part of it. But I also feel that Irad Ortiz, one of the best jockeys in the country, if not the best, he's won every major race that you could win except one, the Kentucky Derby. And he wants to get that Kentucky Derby victory. So even though if it came down to trying to decide loyalty or not, I think he would have went for the best horse possible in this position. He wants to win the Kentucky Derby. And being the fact that he's ridden both horses, what better way to decide which horse to ride than having the experience of riding them both? So the fact that he picked off of Further Ado is a big red flag for me. Now, does that mean Further Ado can't win this race? No, it doesn't mean that, but it means he thinks the other horse is better. Also, you look at this horse, and he was impressive in the Bluegrass. But I'm going to be honest with you, that 11-length victory, as impressive as it was, it has to be noted, it was against a very soft field. The Bluegrass Stakes didn't get a lot of top-notch horses there. The main contender that he would have faced that day actually ended up scratching the day before. So it made the race even easier for him. And he won by open lengths, 11 lengths, and he was totally shut down. Let me tell you, Irad was hand riding to the wire. But with that said, we're going to move to the Kentucky Derby. And a lot of people have looked at Further Ado and said that those two races that he won at Keeneland last year and this year by a combined 31 lengths, people like to use the term horse for course. And I'm going to shut that down because that's not the case. He won both races at Keeneland, but he's also raced one time at Churchill Downs, and he won. That was in the Jockey Club as a 2-year-old last year. That was a prestigious stakes race. So he didn't win it by his 31 lengths, 11 or 20 lengths as he did in the two races at Keeneland. But the race he won in Keeneland by 20 lengths was a maiden race. And the race he won by 11 lengths, the Bluegrass, as I said, was a soft field. The Jockey Club race wasn't a soft field. And he won by, a length and a half. So I don't have a problem with him going to Churchill. Now, what I will say about Further Ado is he's going to face a lot more competition here. And that's the situation that concerns me. Also, he's got a little bit of history going against him. In recent years, the Bluegrass Stakes has not been the stepping stone to winning the Kentucky Derby. Haven't had a horse come out of the Bluegrass in a while to win the Kentucky Derby. So that is a negative. Now, he loses Irad, but he picks up jockey John Velasquez, who is more than capable of winning this race. He's got the experience. He's won the Derby before. So I have no problems with Johnny V getting the mount here. This is also the third start off of a layoff for Further Ado. I've always been a big proponent of third start off a layoff is the best in a horse's form cycle. So if he takes another step forward off of that 106 buyer figure, that's going to be tough because, as I said, no other horse in this race has gotten a higher than a 101 buyer speed figure. So they've got some work to do to catch up to Further Ado. But this is the problem with it. Like I said, the history of the Bluegrass, Irad picking off. I think Further Ado is a major contender in this race, but I don't think he gets the win. I got to use him on exactas and trifectas, but I don't think I'll have him in that top slot. Guys, if you want more videos like this and you don't want to miss any of the Kentucky Derby coverage, we're going to be doing it for the next week and a half leading up to the Kentucky Derby. Hit the subscribe button. You'll never miss a video that I do, and I'll be doing a lot of content for the Kentucky Derby. Also, if you like the videos, hey, give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel out, and we'll be able to bring you even more content. Until next time, guys, I'm Marco D'Angelo for Wager Talk TV. I'll see you at the track with another winner coming up soon.
The greatest 2 minutes in sports. That's right. The Kentucky Derby, 6:57 p.m. Eastern this Saturday. I'm Kelly Stewart here on Wager Talk TV, joined by Marco D'Angelo and Sean Alvarez. Marco was chuckling in the background because there was another joke to be made there, but we're not going to make it on this show because we mean business. We are here to pick winners in the 2026 Kentucky Derby. Marco D'Angelo, give me a little bit of a synopsis behind your background before we get into this exciting race card.
Well, Kelly, I've been betting horses my entire life, but not only do I bet horses, I own horses, I race horses, I breed horses, and I've been doing that since 1986. So when I give you my insight, you're getting my insight not only as a bettor, but an owner that I know, both sides of the backstretch and the grandstand. So there's a lot of experts that show up at Kentucky Derby week on sports Twitter and internet, YouTube and so forth. We've got the credentials to do so.
We sure do. Sean Alvarez handicaps horse racing all year long. That is why he is the second chair here on Pony Pundits. Sean, let everybody know what they can expect from you, not only during the Kentucky Derby, but throughout the race season.
Yeah, like you said, I'm handicapping horse racing throughout the year, January through December, not really taking any time off. And what I like to do is kind of give you a little bit of a choose your own adventure with my plays. I give you my top selections. I give you other opinions on my selections in the race, but I'm also giving you plays with pick fives, exactas, win bets, how I see the card to play out, kind of more in a contest type of setting. I did qualify for the NHC by winning the LRF Cares tournament back in at Del Mar a few years back, as well as cashing a 6th place finish in the Kentucky Derby contest a few years back as well. So kind of try to use that contest mentality and pick and choose winners and winning plays where I see a little bit more value and not just making a bet just because a race is going on.
All right, today we're going to touch on some Derby history and whether certain post positions matter. We're going to talk about some long shots you guys need to have your eye on. And of course, we're going to have a nice little team ticket trifecta here at the end of the show for everyone. We're going to get right into it. Sean, I want to go to you first. I want to talk about Renegade here because we know that after the post positions get drawn on Saturday, oh boy, as Marco said, here they come on X and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, and they've got all of this information for you. And then Renegade, who was potentially going to be the odds-on favorite, he draws the dreaded 1 hole. No horse has won it since Ferdinand in 1986. Tell me whether you think that history by that one spot actually matters here, or does Renegade deserve to be a little bit better of a favorite?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to hear a lot about, what the one post does to kind of, different horses and their history. Obviously, like you said, dating back to 1986 with Ferdinand, but the one hole gives no favors to horses. You've got 19 horses on the outside, and what you will hear a little bit, in Renegade's defense is that he doesn't necessarily need to be anywhere near the front end. Irad Ortiz is going to take him back a little bit. He's going to save all the ground. But like I just alluded to with 19 horses, how is Irad Ortiz not only going to get out of that 1 hole off the rail, but also in, carrying momentum and not getting that momentum stopped? A lot of horses to his outside should be picking up their feet kind of around, that clubhouse turning for home. And if they're getting a jump on him, he really has to be much the best to win on that first Saturday in May. And I'm not necessarily sold on the fact that he is the best horse, or at least, so much the best horse in this class. I didn't necessarily love his Arkansas Derby. I didn't think he necessarily beat, a lot of horses in that race. He was the odds-on favorite. He did it, kind of his own way. And he went wide, sweep the field. And if he does that, come on Saturday, Irad is going to have to pick and choose his spot to get out of there. But also, if he swings wide, we're looking 8, 9, 10 paths wide where, it looks like he's going to high five the people in the stands as opposed to trying to save ground. So I don't necessarily think it's a death sentence with the fact that he doesn't need to be on the lead. He doesn't have to break like a shot out of the gate. And the new gate does give him a little bit of help. A few years back in the day, we only had a 16 horse gate. We had to bring in the auxiliary gate. And what that did with, bringing in that extra gate was it actually put the horse on the rail almost inside the rail. So not only did that horse have to break well, but he also had to come out towards those 19 horses. And it just really became a bad trip. He doesn't get that with this time with the 20 horse gate. But he is going to have to be much the best to win on Saturday from the rail.
Marco, I'm going to go in post position order here. And so coincidentally, we're going to skip to post 5. The winningest post in Derby history. Always Dreaming in 2017, California Chrome in 2014, Funny Side in 2003. Since the Derby's inception, this post has won 10 times. Now, we all know one of my favorite things about the Derby is the fun names of the horses. And no, that's not how I handicap them. But right to party at 30-1, how come no one is talking about this horse?
Well, Kelly, first of all, let's address the winning post position. In post 5 is a good post position. There's no question about it, because you're far enough off the rail that you can break straight out, decide where you want to be. But you've got to remember that we've got 20 horse fields now. We didn't always have 20 horse fields. Okay. There were smaller fields way back in the day when we've had all of these Kentucky Derbies. This is Kentucky Derby 152. So there's going to be more winners from some of those smaller post numbers simply because they've had more tries at winning the Kentucky Derby. Now, as far as right to party goes, you know what? He might as well just go party now or hope the rest of the field is partying the night before, because to me, he's got no shot in this race. He just doesn't appear to be fast enough. His highest buyer speed figure, and he's had 4 career starts. So we're starting to see where he's, what he's going to be. He's going to continue to improve. Don't get me wrong, but to jump from an 81 buyer speed figure, which is his high point so far, which was his last race, to get to where he needs to be in this race, you're going to be looking at, a buyer speed figure in the Kentucky Derby, upper 90s or, 100 to 103. I can't see him making that kind of jump in this race. And he's coming out of the New York traffic to get to the Derby. You talk about different avenues to reach the Derby. The Wood Memorial has not been a good avenue or stepping stone to become a Kentucky Derby winner. The best avenue to the Kentucky Derby in recent years has been the Florida Derby. So coming out of the Wood Memorial and finishing second in that race, I'm just not impressed with the right to party.
All right, Sean, let's talk about post 8 and 10. My dad's 2 favorites. Madge won it in post 8 in 2023. Giacomo won it in post 10 in 2005 at 50-1. Puma is a horse that is already on your radar. It is one of the horses you mentioned to me as a possible contender. Tell me why you think this horse has a shot to possibly win the Derby.
Yeah, the number 9 Puma was real close to being my top pick. I really like this horse. I did actually hit with Mage a few years back, and Gustavo Delgado is actually the trainer of Mage and is the trainer of the Puma. So I like the little connection there, going back to, one of my favorite, at least betting wise, Kentucky Derbies. And, like Marco said, the Florida Derbies really, produced a lot of definitely winners, but also just good efforts in leading up to the Derby. And you're getting the Puma, you're getting Commandment, you're getting Chief Wallabee in that, which is really a blanket finish in that race coming down the stretch. So if you like the 6-1 Commandment, I know a lot of people like Chief Wallabee in this spot. I don't see why you can't at least look at the Puma to give the Puma a little bit of a shot. He ran 100 buyer speed figure in that last race at the Florida Derby, and that's 2 buyer speed figures better than the favorite that we just spoke about in the number 1 Renegade. So speed figure alone, he's improving. He's improved in his last 3 starts in that speed figure. And if you watch what he did in the Florida Derby turning for home, it looked like Castellano almost wanted to save a little bit, didn't want to hit the front too early. Obviously you don't want to peak a month before the Kentucky Derby. You want your horse to peak, on this Saturday. So I really thought that Castellano tried to save a little bit, knowing Commandment was coming from behind. And then he tried to get after the Puma a little bit. And the Puma put away the favorite in that race. I believe it was nearly at 7-5. And when he did, he acted like a typical Tappet, kind of got lost on the lead, was looking around. And when Commandment came up next to him, he dug back in and only lost by a nose. So, like I said, if you like a short price and 6-1 on the number 6 Commandment or Chief Wallabee, I definitely think the number 9, the Puma, is deserves a look. And like I said, even a little bit more meaningful with one of my favorite Kentucky Derbies, Mage, winning and supporting his trainer leading up to this Saturday.
Now, Marco, I mentioned to you on our phone call earlier today that I don't like to buy into too much of the hype, right? Like if you look at, there's graphics all over social media of this many post positions, this, that. Well, guess what? This is what I'm looking into. 17, post position number 17 has never produced a Derby winner. The last time a post 17 horse even hit the top 5 was in 2005. And last year, if you remember, Sandman drew 17 as a top contender and everybody lost their minds. Is this position cursed? Should 6-speed just hang it up now?
Well, 6-speed, I don't think can go with this field, but what 6-speed does have, and that's what you need if you got post 17, you got to be a horse that can leave the gate. And you go back to last year, Sandman was anything but that. Sandman usually was coming from last or next to last in all of his races. So if you're getting post 17 and you don't have gate speed, now you've got to navigate the entire field. And because you didn't have speed to get out and at least get position, you're not only going to have to navigate through the entire field, most likely you're going to be navigating it wide, like Sean talked about, where you might end up being 6 or 7, 8 wide coming off that last turn, and you're just losing too much ground. As far as, is it a curse? Well, it's a curse till somebody wins out of post 17. But as I said about, you've got more winners on the inside post positions, 8 and lower, you're going to have less on the outside post position simply because there were less chances because we didn't have all full fields in every Kentucky Derby. And when you didn't have full field, there might not have been a 17 and 18, 19 or 20 to add to those statistics. So we will have somebody eventually win out of the post 17. But if we do, it's going to be a horse that has gate speed that can either be on the lead and control slow fractions or have enough gate speed to break from the outside, drop in, and sit just behind the leaders. This horse does have the gate speed, but I don't think he can carry it for the 1.25 miles. Plus, he's not faced competition like this.
All right, Sean, last question in regards to posts. I know it's getting a little redundant, but I did find some of these statistical anomalies to be rather interesting. And post 6, which has a horse that happens to be 6-1 in Commandment, I thought, okay, Sean is going to have this horse on his list, but this has not been a productive post. I feel like there has been nothing exciting about it. And so now I think I have to take Commandment off my try list, my superfecta list. Thoughts? Am I thinking too far into this one? Or has Commandment got the horses to be able to run with those?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely got the talent to run with this group. He's done so against Chief Wallabee in the Fountain of Youth 2 starts back, did so against the Puma and Chief Wallabee last start in the Florida Derby. And, if you look at his record, he hasn't done much wrong. Kind of threw in a little bit of a clunker his first time out, but then he romped in the maiden special weight at this track at Churchill Downs, winning by 5 1/4 lengths, and then came back and won a listed stakes race at Gulfstream by 6 3/4. And, like I said, he won the Fountain of Youth. He won the Florida Derby. So he's on a 4-win streak in a row. But then if you look back, he's had the likes of Irad Ortiz that rode. He's had Flavian Pratt. And we don't see either one of them jump on Commandment. We see Luis Saez for the first time riding Commandment on the first Saturday in May. And, nothing wrong with Luis Saez or Brad Cox making this decision. He's definitely a top jockey, hitting it 17% this year. But it's not necessarily the first time I want my jockey to be on the horse, in the post position, listening to my Kentucky home for the first time, getting to know and getting used to this horse. And, one thing I noticed when looking at the film of the last 2 starts, he kind of reminds me of a horse I had a small ownership back in the day of, Tis a Magician. there was nothing wrong with his magician. He just kept grinding away, but he didn't really have that turn of foot to put away his competitors. And like I kind of talked about with Renegade, if he doesn't get the jump on, other horses, if other horses get, a few lengths and momentum ahead of him, he doesn't have the turn of foot to put away the other 19 horses in this big race. So while there's not really anything wrong with Commandment, I'm not going to talk anybody off using this horse, especially underneath, because of his grinding style. He's always putting his best foot forward. I just don't know if that best foot is good enough against these other horses.
All right, if you guys are new to Wager Talk, please give us that like, thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. And of course, we've got a nice special for you. Again, new users only, new clients only, first-time buyers only for Marco D'Angelo Derby 2. His Kentucky Derby package normally sells for $39. Right now, you can get it for just $2. That's the price of a $2 win ticket. And of course, if you're looking to partner up with Sean, Derby 10 gets you $10 off his Kentucky Derby package. As I mentioned, Sean's going to have horse specials up all year long over at wagertalk.com. Marco, I would feel a little odd if we didn't talk about this, only because it's been more prevalent over the last few years, and that is the scratches. Last year, we had 2 horses in Grande and Rodriguez. In 2023, 5 horses scratched. I think it's probably safe to say we should plan on that again in 2026. Can you let everybody know how you approach a scratch in your handicapping?
Well, first thing I'm going to say, Kelly, is that when you do get a scratch, throw that horse in for an exacto with whatever your top choice is, just because if that horse hits the board, it's going to pay way more than it should, because you've got a lot of novice players that they don't understand about and also eligible moving into the field, and they just don't use it. Remember, in parimutuel betting, horse racing is different than sports betting. It's not fixed, what the payout's going to be. It's a pool that you're betting into with all the other players. And if people just forget to use that horse, you're going to have a bigger payout because there'll be less winning tickets. So take your best choice and throw a $2 exacta or a box in there with an also eligible that moves in, just because it's going to be inflated odds. The other point that I say that what you have to look at is people got to look at who moves in. The horse that moves in, is it a speed horse? Is it a stalker? Or is it a closer? If a closer, deep closer moves into the race, has no effect on your handicap. But if a speed horse moves into the race, it is a big factor. Why? Because now you've got another horse that's going to be coming from the outside that's going to move to the front. This year, the first also eligible is Great White. He is a horse that leaves the gate. So if somehow he gets into the race, it is going to make the early fractions a little bit faster. And how that changes your handicap is that increases the chances of horses that are stalkers and closers. When you have, especially the closers to make it on the ticket in the Kentucky Derby need 2 things to happen. They need an honest pace or fast pace so that they can make up the ground. The other thing they need is racing luck. And that's why deep closers are a problem a lot of times in the Kentucky Derby, because you got to navigate through 15, 16 horses. Think about riding on the freeway. How many times have you been in the passing lane and you've been flying, and all of a sudden you come up on a car that's going slow? What do you got to do? You got to tap the brakes and lose your momentum. And that's what happens too often with closers in the Kentucky Derby. So watch what horses move in and what their racing style is. And this one is a speed horse.
It doesn't matter the sport. We all know I love those sizable underdogs. So we're going to give you guys some live long shots for the 2026 Kentucky Derby. Sean Alvarez, I'm going to go to you first. Tell us why you like Full Effort at 20-1.
Yeah, Full Effort all the way on the outside, the 20 path. This is, like Marco said, this is a horse that he doesn't necessarily need to clear all 19 horses to his inside. He's breaking all the way from the outside. He's just going to kind of stumble out of the gate a little bit and make his best running late. But if you look at what Turfway Park and specifically the Jeff Ruby Stakes has done leading up to the Kentucky Derby lately, we look all the way back to 2011. The winner of what used to be, or what is now the Jeff Ruby Stakes, was Animal Kingdom, who came to Kentucky and wound up winning the Kentucky Derby. In 2022, that was Rich Strike, won the Kentucky Derby. Two Phils in 2023 ran a second place finish. And last year we had Final Gambit, ran a solid fourth place finish. So I think horses coming from Turfway, obviously a lot of the big knock on Full Effort is going to be, this is his first time running on dirt, but these other horses coming from the synthetic at Turfway have put together solid efforts. And what I really like about it is that Brad Cox went from the Jeff Ruby Stakes in late March, and he brought Full Effort straight over to Churchill Downs. And he's run 4 solid published works with a bullet of 59-1 just two works ago. So it's not a guess or, it's not a surprise that Full Effort is enjoying this Churchill Downs track and kind of leaning on, that form of horses winning the Jeff Ruby Stakes from Turfway. I'm going to lean on him at least underneath at a big old price at 20-1, and kind of similar to the scratches. The further out you get in the gate, some of these novice bettors aren't necessarily looking. They're making their decisions when they get to Renegade, when they get to, the 6, the 9. They're not necessarily looking all the way down the form. So I do think that we're going to get even a better price than 20-1 on Full Effort, and looking to hopefully spice up the exacta, trifecta, or super.
If you watch Bet on It with Marco and I during the NFL and college football season, I always tease Marco about the size of his dogs, but now at least he came to run with Sean Alvarez today. He also has an underdog horse, barking horses. Is that what it is, Marco? I know, all jokes aside. Marco likes the 14-horse Potente, also at 20-1.
Yeah, Kelly, I came with a 20-1 shot because, as we know from Bet on It, with you, size does matter. So we got a big one here for you. And Potente, this is a horse that's coming into the Derby. I just like the way he's going. Now, a lot of people are going to look and say, well, if you like Potente at 20-1, why wouldn't you just go to So Happy at 15-1? Yeah, you're losing 5 points on the odds there, but So Happy won the Santa Anita Derby, beat Potente. Well, if you go back and watch that race, Potente did all of the work. He left the gate and was locked up in a battle with another horse the entire race. And what ended up happening, he put the other horse away. And so often you see when 2 horses battle on the lead, the horse that wins that early battle and thinks he's got it, turning for home, ends up getting caught from somebody coming from behind off his back that is using his, brush as one move then. And that's what happened with So Happy. He just got the trip in that race that day. In this year's Kentucky Derby, I don't see Potente out on the lead and battling the entire race because, as we talked about, the other horse, the 17 horse, is going to be doing that 6-speed. So what we end up having is he's going to break from gate 14, which is perfect. You're going to get that straight shot to the first turn. He's got gate speed. There's not a lot of gate speed inside of him, and there's a few to the outside, which is perfect. He can drop over to wherever he wants, and I expect him to be sitting probably second, third, or fourth just off that first flight. And that's what you want to do in the Kentucky Derby because you want to be close to the lead, but you don't want to be right on the lead if it's a fast pace. But when you're in that stalking position right behind the speed, you're going to have the first jump on all of the closers. And if you look at how this horse is leading into this race, he only has 3 career starts. So nowhere has he got close to his ceiling yet. And if you look at those 3 races and you look at the Beyer speed figures, he has improved dramatically in each start. He broke his maiden with the 79 Beyer speed figure. They put him right in the San Felipe after that, a grade 2 stake race. He won that by a head, improved his Beyer speed figure from 79 to 89. And then in the Santa Anita Derby, like I said, he battled throughout, tired, deep stretch, just got beat by a couple lengths. He put up a 95 in that one. If he takes another step forward here, like I expect, in the way he trained the other day, you're going to hear a lot of people say he went too fast. But the way he did it, he didn't exert himself. And after the race, there's a phrase in horse racing that the trainers will use, if he went too much, he couldn't blow a candle out. He wasn't winded, okay? That is the sign of a fit horse. I would rather see a horse wanting to run off and you have to strangle him not to go too fast than a horse go out there and have a dull effort. He put up a monster last workout. He went 57-4 in that workout for 5 furlongs and then jogged out afterwards and came back to the barn hardly blowing. So I like him. I think he's got a big shot at a big price on Saturday.
All right, now it's time for some best bets. We're going to call this the team ticket trifecta just because it seems like a lot of fun. But these are 3 horses that we all believe need to be in your trifectas, your superfectas, maybe throw an exacta box in there. Sean gave me a little bit of history, and I thought this was interesting. A 4-horse trifecta box, $1, will cost you $24 to wager. And the average payout over the last 3 years, $590. This one hopefully will pay out just a little bit more. I'm bringing down the odds, unfortunately, though, because I'm going to give you guys a horse that is 5-1, and I can't figure out why no one is talking about the 18-horse Further Ado. Gate speed. We know he's going to lead from the outside. And one of Marco's favorite things to talk about, this is his 3rd stop off a layoff. That's right. He took 2nd place in the Florida Derby after not racing since November. And then he just went out and won the Bluegrass by 11 lengths. What did Sean Alvarez say earlier? Oh, yeah, something about peaking at the right time. Sean, before you give us your best bet, let everybody know what they can expect from you over at wagertalk.com for this year's Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, so I'm going to have full card selections, both going to be top pick selections, but I'm also going to give you my 2nd and 3rd choice just to kind of help you with your wagers if I don't have an exacta in there, but you want to play it. And then I'm also going to have my own plays that I think not only are good plays that I have substantial reasoning throughout the form to make those plays, but also provide value. So I'm going to have that available both on Friday and Saturday. So Friday for the Oaks, Saturday for the Kentucky Derby, and then you can use the promo code Derby10 for $10 off on if you want to package both those together or if you want to get one day or the other. So head over to Wager Talk and use the promo code Derby10.
All right, Sean, this is an interesting one because the Post 15 has 2 Triple Crown winners, American Pharaoh and Authentic, and you like the horse Emerging Market currently at 15-1.
Yeah, I mean, 15-1 with the human connections of Chad Brown and Flavian Pratt. You're not necessarily going to see that very often, but you will hear a lot about the fact that this is a very lightly raced horse. He only has 2 career starts. A horse hasn't won the Kentucky Derby with 2 career starts, I believe, dating back to the 1800s. So it is a long amount of history to overcome. But Chad Brown's the king of the turf. However, he is getting a little bit better on the dirt and specifically around the Preakness. So when you see Emerging Market run as well as he did in his maiden victory and then coming back in his last start and winning the Grade 2 Louisiana Derby, for me as a handicapper, I really thought that they'd skip the Derby and they would really kind of pinpoint or target the Preakness in a couple weeks. But if you listen to Chad Brown's interviews, he's always so coy. He's not giving you much. Doesn't really want to give you his opinions. He basically says he loves all his horses with an equal chance. But if you listen to his interviews about Emerging Market, he seems like a giddy kid excited about opening his presents on Christmas morning. Definitely excited about this horse. And he has the history of skipping the Kentucky Derby, even when qualifying. In 2022, early voting was 16th in the Kentucky Derby leaderboard, could easily gotten the starting gate on the first Saturday of May, but he was quoted as saying he's scratching from the Derby because he has an unrealistic chance and horses need more experience to win a race like the Derby. And then 4 years later, he's more excited about Emerging Market than I've seen him on any other horse. So I definitely think that this horse is peaking at the right time. I like the fact that a Hall of Fame type trainer and Chad Brown just can't keep smiling during interviews when talking about him. And then, like I said, you get Flavian Pratt. Flavian Pratt's ridden in the Kentucky Derby 8 times. He's come in the top 3, 6 of those 8 times. So I'd say he has a pretty good track record, and as one of the best jockeys in the country, you get a jockey that not only is riding well at his home courses, but he can carry his tack to another track and ride as well as he is at Churchill Downs. I will take that 15-1 and go running to the window.
Be sure to follow Sean on X at Smooth Turn 2. I'm sure he's going to have some other Derby knowledge he is dropping there. I can't wait for that Oaks card. Last year it was incredible. Marco D'Angelo, please let everybody know what you've got going on, not only for the Derby, but also the Oaks over at wagertalk.com, and why you might be the only guy on YouTube that doesn't give a damn about some blinkers.
Yes, Kelly. We've got 2 offers for you. We've got the same offer that Sean has. You can get $10 off my package on Saturday. It's the Kentucky Derby package. Now, what that package will have is obviously my Kentucky Derby picks, a couple other races on the Kentucky Derby card. I picked my spots. My dad taught me early on, you can beat a race, but you can't beat the races. I'm not going to be playing every single race on the Saturday card, but I will have some races for you. You'll get all of that in that package. You'll also get my sports picks, and we've been doing very well with our baseball, basketball, and hockey. You'll get everything that I got on Saturday. That package sells for $39. Use the coupon code Derby10. You'll get $10 off. But if you've never bought a package at Wager Talk, you've never bought anything from anybody at Wager Talk, first-time buyer, we got a special deal for you. Use the coupon code Derby2. It's Derby and the number 2. You can get that $39 package for an insane $2. That's the price of a $2 win ticket, and you'll get all of my stuff for Saturday. So head over to wagertalk.com right now. Lock it in. The package is up already. We'll be adding the plays Friday night for the Kentucky Derby and Saturday morning for the sports plays. But get yourself locked in. You'll get notified every time I add something to that package. Now, Kelly, you talk about blinkers. And the blinker situation is Chief Wallabee is adding blinkers. And all the experts are going nuts, saying that the last 11 horses to add blinkers before the Kentucky Derby have all lost. Okay, that's nice. It's a good stat. It's great. But here's the difference with Chief Wallabee. And first, I'm going to tell you, and Kelly can attest to it, I've been riding the Chief Wallabee bandwagon before there was a bandwagon, okay? I liked this horse before the Fountain of Youth when it was just his second start. This is a horse that's had 3 starts, and he's been first, second, and third. The grand total of his 2 defeats is less than a length. This is a lightly raced colt, and if you know Bill Mott, he races a horse into shape. He doesn't have them ready to fire right out of the gate. I'll give you an example. Wesley Ward is a trainer that is an automatic with a 2-year-old making his or her first start. He has his horses ready to fire at first asking. He likes that early money with horses. Bill Mott builds the foundation on a horse, and this horse won his maiden. That's something that generally doesn't happen from Bill Mott. Then he put him straight into a stake race, the Fountain of Youth. That's something else that Bill Mott usually doesn't do. He generally would have had this horse race in an allowance race after he broke his maiden, but the schedule just didn't dictate it. The race he wanted to go in didn't fill, but he felt confident enough in Chief Wallabee to put him in the Fountain of Youth. Then he finished second. He got beat a neck. Who did he get beat by? Commandment, one of the favorites in the race. And in that race, he was wide the whole trip, where Commandment come up the inside, saved all the ground, and only beat him by a neck, and that was only Chief Wallabee's second start. Then in his third start, the Florida Derby, he was locked down on the rail and didn't get out till late. He had to literally drag the horse sideways, and if you go back and watch that replay, Chief Wallabee had his head cocked. He kind of was fighting him a little bit when he was trying to drag him to the outside. Well, if you're going sideways, instead of being able to go with your full move, you lost a little bit of momentum. And what ended up happening, the Puma got the jump on both him and Commandment in the Florida Derby. Puma cleared and got to the rail. Then when we finally got out, Chief Wallabee, he started to make his move, but Commandment had position on him on the outside. So he had to come down the stretch and try to split the Puma and Commandment on the outside. I can tell you, young horses, especially young horses that only have 2 or 3 starts like he did, don't like going through tight quarters. He had to try to split those 2 horses, and he didn't do it. And thus, now let's get to the blinkers. Why? I think they're putting the blinkers on to get him focused, and he gained the experience of those couple situations that he encountered in the Fountain of Youth and Florida Derby. And because horses can't talk and tell you what equipment they need, my trainer always has the saying with the horses, I'm still getting the horse hung up. And that means putting all the right equipment on him. When people make a drastic change like blinkers, it's because a horse isn't doing well and they need to make a change. This horse is doing well. This is a move to make him better. I love the move on him. I love Chief Wallabee. I've been riding him all the way. I'm riding him here again, Kelly. Chief Wallabee for me, number 12.
All right. Well, I hope you guys ride this trifecta ticket all the way to the cashier's window. I am Kelly Stewart, Sean Alvarez, Marco D'Angelo. Until the next Kentucky Derby, good luck, guys.
Marco D'Angelo here for Wager Talk TV with my sizzling 6 for this year's Kentucky Derby. Checking in at number 6 is Commandment. This is a horse on a 4-race winning streak, but he can't keep his rider. His margin of victory keeps getting smaller, and his last 2 wins were by just a neck and a nose. In those last 2 wins, he got the absolute perfect trips to win those races. His racing style does suit the Kentucky Derby, as he is what I like to refer to as a stalker. He will be mid-pack. That gives him close enough to the leaders, but not on a fast pace, but it also gives him the jump on all of the closers when they turn for home. And when you're a stalker and you're in the middle of the pack, that eliminates half the field that you don't have to navigate through. Luis Saez picks up the mount in this race. Luis Saez will be riding him for the first time. 4 different jockeys have been on Commandment, and he keeps losing his riders. Saez is a good rider, but I like him better on a horse that's on the front end than a horse that comes from behind. Everybody keeps picking off. I think there's a reason. I'm going to leave Commandment as my number 6 horse. Checking in at number 5 is the Puma. The Puma has 4 career starts, a win, 2 seconds, and a third. His Beyer speed figures keep getting better, posting a career-high 100 Beyer figure in his last race. That was the Florida Derby when he lost by just a nose to Commandment. I think he might have made his move just a second or 2 early in that race. He was caught wide in the last turn, swooped to the lead, and then got back down to the rail and just got beat at the wire by Commandment. This is a horse that's getting better with each and every start. The only knock on this horse is the fact that he doesn't like to be inside of traffic. That's why he usually ends up wide in the turn. If he can manage a clean trip in the Kentucky Derby, he is a big factor in this race. Hey guys, don't forget, hit the like and subscribe button. You'll never miss a video from us, and we're going to have complete Kentucky Derby coverage leading right up to the Kentucky Derby on Saturday, May 2nd. Don't forget, our big Kentucky Derby show will be out on Monday of Derby week once they draw the post positions over the weekend. And guys, if you want to get my actual Kentucky Derby selections, you can get my big Kentucky Derby package on Saturday. Head over to wagertalk.com or go directly to my homepage, WTBuzz/MD. And if you use coupon code Derby and the number 2, Derby and the number 2, if you've never bought from Wager Talk before, I'll give you my $39 package for just $2. That's the price of a $2 win ticket if you're a first-time buyer and use coupon code Derby2. All right, continuing with my sizzling 6, checking in at number 4 is emerging market. Just how good is emerging market? Well, he'll be trying to do something that only one other horse has ever done in the Kentucky Derby. And you have to go all the way back to 1883 when Leonidas won the Derby with only 2 career starts under his belt. He's made those 2 starts, but he's done everything right in those 2 starts, winning both of them, starting with his maiden victory in his first start, and then in the Louisiana Derby, he had an impressive come-from-behind win as he picked up horses through the turn and collared them in the stretch for the win. In that race, he posted a 97 buyer speed figure. If he takes another jump that first Saturday in May, this is a horse that could be right there at the finish line. He has Flavian Pratt as his jockey and Chad Brown as his trainer, and that's 2 of the best in the business. He may lack experience, but he does have one thing that no other horse in this year's Kentucky Derby has done so far, and that is win a race at 1 3/16 miles, as most horses have only gone 1 1/8 miles so far. The Kentucky Derby is 1 1/4 miles, so he has shown that he can go the extra distance. We'll see if this added distance suits him on that first Saturday in May, as emerging market might just be the emerging horse in this year's Kentucky Derby. Checking in at number 3 is Further Ado. Further Ado is part of the 3 horses trained by Brad Cox in this year's Kentucky Derby. Further Ado owns the highest buyer speed figure of any horse in this year's Kentucky Derby. He posted a 106 bluegrass buyer. I was there that day, that Saturday at Keeneland Racetrack. It was an impressive victory as he won by 11 lengths, drawing away from the field through the stretch. But I got to be honest, that field was pretty soft that day. His main contender was scratched earlier in the day, and that left the race wide open for him, and he won the race easily. Now, off of that big win, Irad Ortiz, who rode him, has decided to ride a different horse in the Kentucky Derby. We'll have more about that later. John Velasquez picks up the mount, and a very capable jockey indeed, as he's won several Kentucky Derbies. History has said, though, the Kentucky Derby winner generally doesn't come through the Bluegrass Stakes. But this is still a horse that can't be ignored that first Saturday in May. Checking in at number 2 is Chief Wallabee. Chief Wallabee may be the best horse in the Kentucky Derby, and he almost didn't get in. He was just outside the top 20 in points for the Kentucky Derby. But since a couple horses have already scratched out of the Kentucky Derby, he has gotten in that top 20 in points. This is a horse that only has 3 career starts, but he's getting better in each start. And if you look at those 3 starts, he has a win, a second, and a third. And if you look at the second and third, it was by less than a length combined. He lost by a neck and he lost by a nose. This is a horse that's getting better as he goes, and I think this horse is sitting on a big race for that first Saturday in May. The Florida Derby race, when he got beat, he got caught inside down at the rail and didn't get out till late. And when he did get out, he had to actually go sideways, which he lost momentum. And once he got out and was able to give the horse his head, he had to try to split 2 horses. The Puma was on the inside and Commandment was on his outside. I can tell you, young horses don't like going through narrow openings, and I think that cost him the race. If he gets to the outside, I think it would have been a different story in the Florida Derby. This is a horse that's going to get lost on the tote board because he's lost 2 other horses in this race. Don't sleep on Chief Wallabee. He's my number 2 contender. And checking in at number 1 is Renegade. And you know what? In Irad, I trust. Irad Ortiz has won just about every race that there is to win except the Kentucky Derby. And he has ridden 3 different horses in this year's Kentucky Derby. He had the choice of which horse he wanted to ride. He decided to ride Renegade, and I'm going to trust him with his decision here. And Renegade comes into this race off of 2 races off a layoff. I've always said the best race in a horse's form cycle is the 3rd start off of a layoff. He's coming through the Arkansas Derby. We've seen horses use the Arkansas Derby as a stepping stone to the Kentucky Derby winner's circle. The only race that's done better than that has been the Florida Derby. I like this horse. He's heading in the right direction. And the fact that Irad Ortiz had his choice between 3 horses, all 3 horses which have undefeated this season, tells me this is the best horse in the race. I'm going to go ahead and go with Renegade as our top choice. Now, guys, this video was done prior to the post position draw. The post position draw will be held on Saturday, April 25th. Once we have the post positions, we'll be back with our full Kentucky Derby show at Wager Talk TV. Be sure you don't miss that video, as we'll make any adjustments we need to make after the post positions are drawn. And if you like this video, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And if you want to make sure you never miss a video, hit the subscribe button, as you'll be notified every time we have a new video. And leave me a comment. I want to know, do you think I'm right with my sizzling 6? Who do you like in this year's Kentucky Derby? Let me know in the comment section.
Hey guys, welcome back to WiseKracks. Bill Krackomberger over here in Atlantic City. Had to come here for a couple of nights. I'll be back tomorrow. John Orlando in his backyard with the hummingbirds and all the different outdoor foliage. Clear ahead. Rainbows, lollipops, and sunshine for Johnny O. And I'm here on the road working, trying to grind out a living. It is what it is. But, yeah, I know a little about what's going on there. Hey, John, everyone is asking me, Kentucky Derby, I guess last year.
This Saturday.
Yeah, but last year, I guess we give out the winner. Well, I should say that a guest that's been on our show many times gave out the winner. And, you know, so let me just tell you, though, Paul Matisse and his brother, some of the only winning horse race guys I ever met in my life. There's only been 2 or 3 that I have met that have beat the horse races. And legitimately, not, you know, doping horses or something like that. These guys are, the Matisse brothers are very, very sharp guys. Both follow me on Twitter. They're great. They're both great follows on Twitter also. Paul Matisse and his brother Duke. So with the CAWs and these computer automated, what's going on now with the horse racing community, even Duke put a comment on one of my tweets about the CAWs and said, I can't beat it right now. What's going on? I haven't bet a horse in a year. So literally, but last year, Paul gave us the winner of the Kentucky Derby. And everyone's asking me what they do, you know, who they like in the Derby. And so maybe I can go to the guys in the room here. Who won the Derby last year, guys? Sovereignty. Okay. So Sovereignty won the Derby last year, and Paul gave us that. I had no idea. I paid $18. I forgot. I thought it was.
Yeah, I remember 18-1. Yeah, it was a good one.
So let me read you Paul's text first, because people want to know about that.
All right.
I can't do any. Okay, okay. My brother and I. Okay, hold on. Here's what you could say: partially or wholly. Let's say it wholly. There is a whole lot of holes. There's a whole lot of holes. All right. Okay. Let me get. Okay. All right. There's a lot of
love
holes.
is a song.
Yeah. Okay. There is a lot of holes in the American horses this year. 10 to 12 of them aren't fast enough to win. And like I said, the 5 or 6 favorites all have negatives about them. Renegade is the best American horse, but he drew the #1 post, and his trainer and jockey are great, but they both have terrible records in the Derby. He will probably go off higher odds than he should because of his post, but there's too many questions. Everybody says it's not if, but when Japan is going to win a Derby, but they never pick them. Both horses this year are solid, and since the American horses aren't great this year, now might be a good time. Both of these horses are great prices. Boy, these are long shots. Wow. #7, Dannon Bourbon, 20-1 money line, and number 10, Wonder Dean, 30-1 money line. The 7 is a little bit more. Okay, the 7's a little stronger, or nothing, but he's undefeated and he's the best bet to win. So the 7 and the 10, maybe you throw a little something on each one of them. Maybe you throw them in your exotics and but there's a real long shots here. So, but nice enough for Paul to tell us that. We've had Paul on the show, I think, a couple times, right, John? So, and
Yeah.
he had this winner last year. Who's Johnny O playing in the Derby? I know you're firing.
Well, Crack, this is an easy Derby. They don't always happen this way. You know how I like to roll when it comes to horse racing.
Okay.
Horses with cat names.
Do
We've got
I don't know any names. Who we got?
the Puma, the 9 horse, the Puma, 10-1.
All right.
Puma is a cat, Bill.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
put them in
Puma
there,
and
gimmicks. Yeah.
And I'm putting him, and I'm actually going to put him. To me, it's a no-brainer. The 13 horse, 20-1, Potent.
Okay.
Potent, because the cat is potent, or potente.
Right.
Potent. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
And now, are you getting ready for? I don't even know this. We didn't talk about this before in time, as you could tell. John, are you getting ready for any World Series stuff, or is that's not yet?
Funny you should say that, Bill. I wore a hat today just for you.
Oh,
World Series of Poker.
I didn't see that. What's the front say? World Series of Poker. What's the
Feeling lucky?
This
is the hat.
Okay.
This is the exact hat I wore, if you'll remember, event number 1 last year at WSOP, Bill, when I played the Mystery Millions against 19,645 entries, and your guy came in 73rd. It's okay, not the final prize, but
I'm still waiting to divide that profit up. To be honest with you.
Yeah, it's okay, Bill. We're gonna strike big this year. Big, Bill. Big.
All right. Well,
big.
All right. So you're playing. So when does the World
May
Series start?
May 26th. May 26th is that event. Actually, that I shouldn't say that. This year they added an event. So I played last year in the Mystery Millions, right? This year they still have the Mystery Millions, but that's coming later in the series. They've added a mini Mystery Millions, which is a $500 buy-in, and I'm assuming the bounties won't be $1 million. That maybe the big bounty's $500,000 in that one, I would imagine.
Now, are these
I don't
senior
know.
events or no?
That one's not, but there is a senior event. There's 2 senior events this year. There's
the senior.
You gonna play?
The one you need to be in on. You need to be on the senior event. These other ones, you're way too old for these now. So it is what it is. I'm not trying to make fun of you live on air. You can cut it if you want.
Bill, no, we're not cutting anything, Bill. Bill, this is gold, because we're gonna clip this up. We're gonna clip this up because, listen to me, Bill. I'm gonna make a bold statement right now. Okay. Most people, they just want to win 1 bracelet this summer. Most people say, I'm going to win a bracelet this summer. I'll let you in on a little secret, Bill.
Yeah.
I'm winning 2. Okay? Book it.
Okay.
I'm winning 2. Oh, yeah. Make that smile all you want. Laugh all you want. I'm winning not 1, but 2 WSOP bracelets this summer. Book it. Book it.
I'm sure people will give you some long odds on that. I'm talking like.
What are the odds, Bill? If you had to put a number to it, what are the odds?
Did you see the movie Casino with Robert De Niro? When he says the guy hits 3 slot machines, 10,000 jackpots, you had to see yourself getting set up on the first one. The odds in 2 is 3. It's $1 billion to 1. It cannot happen. Would that happen? Your odds of winning 2 bracelets is longer than that. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
No, it's in the billions. It's in the tens of billions. If I had to really put it on there, it's a giant number. But I give you a number, but
let me ask you this. Could you how would you go about identifying like the pros, like the big names, the Matisows, the Mizrakis, the Madsons, the Alex Foxons, Negrano? How would you assign what their odds are, like, to win the main? How would you come up with a real formula to figure that out?
When Michael Mizraki, who we will have on this show eventually, by the way, when he won last year, that was just so amazing because there were so many people that said a famous player, and they had bulks of them. And there was a betting markets. Pinnacle in offshore originally had odds on all the World Series players, and they put bulks of players, like 50 names will never win a main event again. You could have bet that years ago. They don't have the market anymore, I don't think. And his name was in there, so you would get
Really?
ridiculous amount. Yes, a big name player. It's amazing what he did last year. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
He has won that $50,000 tournament multiple times. He is one of the greatest players in the world. There's
For sure.
I know there's a lot of luck, but poker tournaments um, are a different animal for certain people, like who we've had on this show, Phil Hellmuth. We've had on Daniel Negreanu. We've had on Michael. No, we had on who else? We had someone else on. Oh, Mattisau. We had Mattisau on.
Matisau,
We've had
Maria
these guys on
Ho,
this show.
yep.
Maria,
Sam Savaril.
Sam Soverell. We've had a lot of a
Yeah.
lot of poker pros on. So some of these guys, I'll use Phil Hellmuth though, one of the best in the world.
Yeah.
There is more to it than just luck when it comes to poker tournaments for a lot of players, and these guys are proving it. Michael Mizrachi is definitely has proven this in the past. But John, I have a couple subjects to go into here. One is right here in Atlantic City. There's an article out, and Ocean Casino Resort is sued for millions over dealer tip pooling practices. Wow. I'm only going by this article, and it's even hard to believe what I'm reading here. So Atlantic City's Ocean Resort is accused in a new lawsuit of structuring its tip pooling system to shift labor costs onto dealers. It's in violation of federal and New Jersey laws. It's just so hard for me to believe that this is even a real lawsuit, but it is. I'm reading from an article, which we'll post. We'll even post the link here. I'll tell you where it comes from. It comes from casino.org. Philip Conner, Conneller, has written the article, and the dealer is Lydia Cohen. Table games dealer claims in the proposed class action lawsuit the casino requires dealers to participate in a mandatory tip pool by paying at least some of them below the state's full minimum wage through a tip credit. Now, I did not know that the minimum wage in New Jersey was $15.92 an hour. I didn't know that. So minimum wage here in the state is $15.92 per hour. However, in a tip worker position, they must pay $6.05 per hour, $6.05 per hour in direct wages, with tips making up the difference. So what she is saying is the casino, for every hour, here's how it works. Here's how it works in the casino business. And maybe someone could correct me if their place or their jurisdiction is different. So you work every 60 minutes, you get tapped out for a 20-minute break. Every 60, you get a 20-minute break, and you work an 8-hour shift, of which every 20 minutes, every 60 minutes, you're getting a 20-minute break. That doesn't matter though. You're still getting a tipped hourly rate. So even for the time you're on break, you still get part of the tip pool, of course. Well, what she is saying that Ocean Casino was doing is not tipping, not using the tip money when they're on break, and they're taking the tip money and putting it into the casino. It's even hard for me to believe that what I'm reading here. I almost don't want to read it, but I'm going to read this. She is saying that she is seeking to recover unpaid minimum wages and overtime, as well as tips she claims were misused under the casino's pooling system. The lawsuit also requests liquidated damages, interest, legal fees. But she's saying there's upwards of $5 million the casino has stolen from the dealers' tip pools, and they're not getting paid correctly. I want you guys to read this article to really get the feel, and it's just so hard for me to believe. But
it's a crazy claim. I mean,
it's a crazy claim that they're not getting. She's not getting paid on those 20-minute breaks like every other casino in the world. So if Ocean Casino did this, shame on them. Unbelievable. Now, John, I got some other subjects here. That's the first one. Doug Polk. Let's go back to poker. Doug Polk,
yes.
His poker room was cleared. The Lodge poker room was cleared and set to reopen back in Texas. The biggest card room, the Lodge Card Club, back from the dead. Poker pro and co-owner of the Austin area room, Doug Polk, announced on social media that charges were dropped. The seized money and equipment would be returned, and management will reopen in a few weeks. Justice has prevailed, he adds. The damage to our staff and members has been tremendous, and it's now time to rebuild. We'll be putting together a kickoff event in the near future. This is a remarkable reversal. It really is.
Yeah, it is.
Did you
Yeah.
know about this?
I saw it
Public
yesterday
radio.
that he tweeted it. Yeah, yeah. Do you think there's any legal recourse? Like he just said, like that's a lot of damage done. And so if they've been cleared of everything, do they have a case like against?
I guess
the
they have a
state?
case. I don't know. I don't know the situation, but you know, who said it? Someone said, "Oh, you said it. You said it." What's who said it? John Orlando said it. You said, "Isn't
I
it
said, what does the
amazing
world come to?
Texas, if you can't say it again."
What is the world coming to if we can't play Texas Hold'em in Texas? What are we doing?
Yeah.
It is crazy. Like, but justice prevailed.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Anyway, it definitely sounds like it. John, we know these. We know that last week I talked about it. Last couple of weeks about these new casinos that have opened. Well, we just started table games in New York, 2 hours north of here. They just started playing table games at Resorts World in Queens, and they table games. They already had slots, but table games is a whole different animal here. Now you're hurting the Sands, Bethlehem, Foxwoods, Mohegan Sun, Atlantic City, and they have started here already. And I'm told it's an unbelievable thing for New York and New York City. Now you're building 3 new casinos at least in New York, which are going to be full-fledged casinos. That has to put a hurting on these casinos here, because let's face it, people in North Jersey and stuff, they're not going to drive the 2 hours to Atlantic City when they can drive right over a bridge or tunnel, go through a tunnel. But granted, traffic and certain hours, that leads to another one here. New Jersey senators say we've got a gun to our heads with New York City casinos. 2 New Jersey lawmakers have proposed asking state voters to allow casinos outside Atlantic City. A senator in New Jersey who wants to expand casinos outside Atlantic City, says the Garden State gaming industry faces a grim outlook unless lawmakers act quickly. They want to put new casinos in North Jersey. And, you know, I'm not ever going to agree with politicians, I guess, but yes, it's definitely going to hurt New Jersey by having these casinos. Now you have so much more that, there's so much more of this tax dollars that are going to be leaving the state. So that's going to happen. 3 full-scale operation casinos in New York. 2 of the properties will be located in Queens and the 3rd in the Bronx. Go ahead, John.
Oh, I was going to say, but you know what? They brought this on themselves. I mean, when was the first casinos in Atlantic City? Like in the late 70s, right?
Yeah, late 70s.
78.
77,
Okay.
70s, yeah.
So you've had since 78 to create an environment that was safe, that people want to come to. They're not worried about getting mugged out on the boardwalk. Like, they've had all this time to clean up their act, and they've never really done it. And they've never really tried. They've never invested in the players and the people, in the families there. And this is what happens. And now they're going to have real competition. And maybe it's what forces them to finally clean up their act and compete.
John, you're spot on. And I'm glad you mentioned it first, because I'm very tough on the industry. I'm very tough on casinos and jurisdictions. And, I try to put myself in Joe Public's shoes, man, because like I always say, I kind of am Joe Public. So they have made for an environment here in Atlantic City. I talked about it earlier on VSiN, the boardwalk outside here. It's okay at daytime. It's great. Summer times are great here. I had a lot of fun on this boardwalk over the years, but nighttime, it's a little bit different of an animal out there. And then if you go the other way, Atlantic Avenue and Pacific Avenue, it can get tough out there. It can get rough. They should have, just some of the potholes in the street are amazing. There was a lot of chances over the decades, like you said, to fix these things and right this town. John, listen, I used to come here all the time. I used to film my friend's apartment all the time here in this high rise, and literally right outside those doors, it was so dangerous out there on that was on Atlantic Avenue. Atlantic Avenue, there was a group of thugs that used to charge money to get into the Popeyes fried chicken, to open the door for
That's
you.
so
You weren't allowed to
crazy.
go in. without giving them money. And there's some bad areas there, especially Atlantic Avenue still. They have police cars set up on the street with no one in them. Just police cars with the siren thing going, the flash going around just to deter crime in the city and make it look like there's a cop there in the middle of the street. And there's nothing. I can't even get. I don't mean to get down on these administrations. There's been so many of them that have been corrupted, and we've had mayors go to jail here in town and everything else. So, but you're right, John. They probably have had problems, like you're saying, um, even now, um, because of previous administrations that didn't clean up the city. So I'm glad you mentioned it because people would come after me probably. But um, you know, listen, I'm for a safe environment. I'm over here on the marina. Golden Nugget, Borgata, and Harris are the three, and
Yeah.
that's definitely safer here than being over on the avenue over there where some of the major casinos are. Uh, John, let's go to another subject here. This was pretty amazing. I didn't hear about this. Nelly, the singer Nelly, um,
Yeah.
avoids charges in casino assault case. So Nelly will not face charges for his July 2025 arrest, Ameristar Casino, following a decision to drop the misdemeanor assault charges in exchange for a plea deal where he got a $750 fine. His real name is Cornell Hayes. Was accused of attacking a guard for refusing him to access to a restricted casino area without a player's card. Now, I will tell you, to take Nelly's back here, I have seen that myself, where they wouldn't allow players. Just yesterday, I was at the Borgata, and the high limit lounge. They don't allow players without a high limit card to come into that lounge or a player card. I find that kind of unusual that you won't allow
I didn't
someone.
know that.
Oh, there's many casinos like that. But you know what? I would like to get maybe opinions of people. Do you think that's good? It could be good because you could be protecting your higher limit players from coming in. So Nelly replied he didn't have a card, and he allegedly shoved the guard. I'm not going to take his back for that. So shoved the guard in the chest with a closed right hand and walked in. Although the guard had no injuries, he chose to press charges, leading to a formal misdemeanor charges against Nelly. So I guess it was security footage later reviewed showed the guard standing in close proximity to the rapper, and the lack of audio made it difficult for prosecutors, so they dropped it and charged him just with a small fine. So also Nelly, by the way, he's gotten himself in trouble before at St. Louis. He was arrested in a Hollywood casino for winning a $50,000 jackpot. Obviously, Nelly's a gambler. A
Wow.
$50,000 slot jackpot, which they checked. Wow. I guess I'm reading this part of the article for the first time. They checked his background. He had a 2018 violation for failure to appear warrant and wouldn't pay him his $50,000. Wow.
What
So
does that have to do with that, though?
I don't know. Yeah, if that's
That
the case,
seems
John, for sure
any
you
excuse.
you better not be playing those slots because they definitely won't pay you. A subsequent search allegedly uncovered 4 ecstasy pills. Nelly was
Oh
arrested for
boy.
possession of narcotics. Those charges were dropped later. But I do know if you hit a big jackpot for like $1 million or something million, I do know they'll make you pay your old child support or whatever your. Yeah, so I do know that that's true. So I find that pretty interesting. Um,
Yeah.
but you know what? Again, so I see these high limit rooms sometimes that don't allow certain. You have to have a certain card level. How do you determine it? Maybe someone wants to come in with a lot of money though and gamble like in high limit. So it's kind of sketchy there. I can't believe what these laws and how things are so let's just face it, it's so woke today that they would allow something like that to happen. Um, anyway, uh, casino in New Hampshire to become the first open. Look, this is unbelievable. My God. So there was a Staples store, and a Staples, which is a home store.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Okay, this is unbelievable. So they're closing one of these Staples. They're closing a Staples, a home office superstore. They're closing that and making it into a casino. I just can't believe numerous casinos have opened.
Where is
Sure,
this?
department stores. A casino planned for Kilburn Ledge Shopping Center in Littleton, New Hampshire, will soon become the first to open up in a Staples store. So now they're opening up. They're closing the Staples at the end of. It's happening in. It's supposedly the store is being closed in February, and now they're being given 4 months to vacate. They're opening a casino in the Staples store, and there's been many shopping centers that have casinos now all over Hampton Beach. I can't believe it's everywhere. Is there a
Yeah.
place in this country? Can anyone tell us out there if you live within a 3-hour drive of anywhere in this country where there's not a casino? I mean, they're looking to break every living human. They're looking to break with these casinos everywhere in
Yeah.
these little mom and pop towns. I find it absolutely amazing. I just do. I find it absolutely amazing of what's going on. John, how about this one? This is a subject that I've been talking about since patch was repealed for responsible gambling. Online gambling blamed for a sharp rise in personal bankruptcies coast to coast. Uh, of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course, online
Sure.
gambling could be playing a role in the rising personal bankruptcy filings.
Could be.
Bankruptcies rose 12% in the last fiscal year, according to attorneys and financial advisors, saying they're seeing the drastic increase in debt due to casino gambling. Well, it's a portion of it, of course, but you know, I got to tell you though, John, when I hear this, I just think some of these jurisdictions that have go back to what I'm saying, the gambling platforms like New Jersey, like right here, when you're allowed to play and you're allowed to play in the safety of your own house using debit or credit cards, of course it's
Yeah.
going to rise to unbelievable records and stuff. But this is what I say. So when it comes to casino credit, you cannot write off casino credit for the most part. In certain states, you can. In other words, that's considered a bad check law. If you come to Nevada and you sign a marker in Nevada, it's considered a bad check. You're writing a bad check for considering committing felony, and therefore you can be put in jail for that. So
Yeah.
it's. I'm going to read this for you. In a Chapter 7 case, the debt would be dischargeable in certain areas. In Chapter 13, gambling debts will be included in the payment plan and any remaining balance discharged at the end of the plan, explained David Stevens, a New Jersey bankruptcy attorney. So there is ways around this, I guess. But is that the solution? Is the solution to make people have bankruptcies and now they're just going to start over no matter what they say? They want a fresh start. Bankruptcy gives them that platform. Listen, I know the human condition and human tendencies. I know I say that word a lot. This
Yeah.
kind of gives people the start to start over and do this again. And I'm not blaming the people. I'm blaming the ease of being able to do it. I think there should be more restrictions on the way things are financed and funded and caps on gambling more than anything. Speaking of which, they try to say that there is caps and they have these restrictions now and the KYC, know your customer law, and the KYC restrictions put in place and forced a little bit more now that only because of Matt Boyer, who we went to his house and had him on the show.
Yeah.
We were the first show to have him on, was us to have him on there. And he has he has cast literally a big thing on many different casinos now, tightening their practices and trying to be more compliant to the laws. But it's funny. So Matt, I haven't spoken to him, but he is added to Nevada's black book. I think you knew about
Yeah.
that, right? So he's added.
I talked to him a week ago.
Oh, okay. Thanks for telling me. What did you have to say with my connection? What do you have to say?
I saw that that post about him getting added, and there was a quote from him saying that he wasn't going to fight it, that he wasn't even going to fight it. And I reached out to him and I said, hey, I just saw this article I said, I think you should go to this hearing because you're very likable in person, and if they just look at you as a newspaper headline and they don't get to interact with you, I think then you have no shot. But I think if you could actually plead your case to them, you could have a chance. And he said he's not even allowed to go to the hearing because he's not allowed to leave the state right now. But he said he met with them. He already met with them in person. And he said, they don't care about me. They just want to make an example out of me. And it is what it is.
Oh, okay. All right. Johnny Go Around Orlando. That's your new name.
This
All
guy.
right. Hey, it is what it is. I understand the way Johnny Hollywood works. Okay.
Oh, my God.
Matt, so this article, Matt Boyer, the illegal bookmaker in the center of the Shohei Ohtani betting scandal, was officially added to Nevada's Black Book Thursday, permanently barring him from every casino in the state. Let me just tell you, he is banned from the casinos in Nevada because he was involved in the Shohei Ohtani case. But to be real blunt, if you want to start banning bookmakers and stuff like that, I don't know if they can have a thick enough book to put all the names. I've said it before. I'll say it again.
Yeah.
If you want to start banning people that, black and white, you want to start banning all those gray names, I don't know if you'll be able to even, you might as well just put a lock on the door. I mean, there's, they were worried about people that are coming in, making the money in illegal areas and bringing it to the casino. Well, then why doesn't Resorts World, where he lost $13 million, why don't they have to pay some of the money back and give some of the money back that they took off this illegal gambler? So in the end, we get it all. That's what H. Rothstein said in Casino. He's right. Because you can watch every one of those episodes of American Greed, and half of them are people that lost their money in casinos or gambling somewhere, and the casino or gambling corporation gets to keep the money. Unlike if they stole jewelry or went to a pawn shop or something that they have a physical item where they sold, they have to give the money back, but the casinos don't. Must be something going on there politically, I guess, right? But anyway, Matt, Matt was an illegal bookmaker. Absolutely, he was an illegal bookmaker. You go up and down the California coast. You can't stop every single day. You can't stop from seeing 5 of them in the card rooms and the poker rooms. They're all over the place. You go to every single poker room, and they're everywhere. Illegal bookmakers. You're going to start putting them all in the black book. Anyway, that's something about Matt. I thought was I seen that, and
it's crazy to me how it extends through not just gambling, but like you can't even go to Aria to eat dinner. That's crazy to me.
You can't even go into a restaurant. Yeah, you can't come in none of the casinos. Here is a guy who not only lost a lot of money, but it's not like he beat the casinos out of money. He lost all his money in the casinos. So, like I said, in the end, they get it all. John, let's talk about WagerWire. A $200. It's a $200 one to win $153,000.
These bets are amazing.
They are amazing. Listen, I hate parlays. It's a sucker bet. No matter what anyone says, these bets, for the most part, are sucker bets. They really are. But everyone bets them. I go to the counters here and I listen to, I want a parlay. Everyone looking to make money. It's like that parlay that there was a parlay last week that hit down at Hard Rock in Florida for like $2 million, give or take, guys. I'm sorry, I don't know the amount.
The guys hitting home runs, the home run
6
one.
Guys hitting home runs. $30 the guy bet and won like $2 million. So of course they put it out there because they want to entice other people to make these type of bets. The money in volume that overcomes this $2 million. I know it's hard to believe, but everyone says, "Wow, you could do that." I got to try that. And meanwhile, all of these casinos absolutely love when someone hits something big. Maybe not that big, but when they hit something big for a small amount. And you can see by the way that guy bet, I think it was $30.11 he bet. You could see it was like all the money he had in his account. So you broke the guy basically. He's down to his last pennies, and he bet some crazy bet and actually wins a bet that only someone like John Orlando can win. Sorry. That's the reason
I
why
wish
you're on the show. I guess I don't need you. Sorry, John. So this guy bet a 4-leg parlay $200 to win 153,000. Indiana
Wow.
Hoosiers to win the NCAAF championship winner. Seattle Seahawks to beat New England winner. Michigan Wolverines to win winner. Now he needs Colorado to win the Stanley Cup. Is his last leg of the parlay. It's $200 to win the 153. Right now, it's worth $47,000 in bet value. Wow. Now, because you only bet $200 originally, and you look at the $47,000 that it's worth, my God, I think you got that. You know, you have. Well, by the way, there's a cash out. So the site offers you 39,000, but through WagerWire and the WagerWire app, it's 47,000. So it's much more going through WagerWire, of course, in the WagerWire app and WagerWire.com. But yeah, I think you got to get a little something for your money here. I think you got to take a little piece. Get something back. You're betting $200, so it's $200, which is, if you win 1,000 or 2,000, maybe not, but to cash out and take some of your money back at the 47,000. At this point, you could actually do a little bit of hedging too, but just some of these bets, John, like you said over at WagerWire, are crazy, man. Some of these.
So, Bill, you know my question. My question. Are you a buyer?
I really didn't look into it too deeply, to be honest with you. I didn't really look what it's worth now compared to what it is here. It's funny. I just logged on to BetMGM. I tried to log on. It says, "Are you in New Jersey?" I love these apps that do that, though. They tell you right away. They know your jurisdiction, and they'll transfer your balance over, to New Jersey, though. So let's look at the Colorado Avalanche. The Stanley Cup, they're plus 230. I'm looking just at BetMGM real quick. So they're plus 2-1 at BetMGM, which means that the 47,000 that I'm looking at here, you know what, John? Probably, if I'm looking right here, this could be pretty interesting. They're saying it's worth $47,000 and change, right? 47,105. Now that I see the odds to win at 2.5-1, I may want to look into this a little deeper myself. So
really,
yeah, for a piece. I never want to buy the person outright. I want them to have a rooting interest. So, and I want to be on the team here. So the original odds, the original odds here of 764-1, which is amazing. The current odds, like I said, plus 225 compared to the odds for the ticket. So it's something to look at. And there's a lot more of these guys over at the WagerWire marketplace. It's wagerwire.com and the WagerWire app. Guys, I want to thank you too for subscribing and liking. We really appreciate the likes and the comments. Why, I'd like to know what you people that all say nice things. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys liking, subscribing, following, and I hope you realize that I do this show for you guys. We try to talk about subjects and we give you our honest opinions, what we think. You really can't hold me back from saying something good or bad about places. I try to talk good and bad about everything, and I'm going to talk good and bad about my Atlantic City trip when I get back next week. I'll do a recap of what's going on here. I was talking about the weather, how it's sometimes it's I talked about it on VSiN this morning. It's cloudy, John. It's cloudy. It's rainy. It seems like there's a lot of clouds in the air. I talked about this legitimate thing called seasonal mood disorder. Like the winters are rough here.
Oh.
People have it right. It's not like John sitting outside with the birds chirping and looking up at the sunshine. That's not the way it is, John, on the East Coast. I know you grew up in Hollywood there and Burbank or wherever else, Brentwood. What do you want to say, John? There's no depression in your life.
No,
give it a break.
I was going to say, to your point, my buddy Roger from Detroit.
Yeah.
I think I've said this before on the show. I can't remember, but there are times he calls me in January and February, and he will say, "We have not seen the sun in 56 days." And it's my brain, being from California, from LA originally, and now living here in Vegas, my brain can't even. I always think he's lying to me, but he's not.
No,
He'll literally say sometimes we don't see the sun for 2 months.
And of course, John, him saying that to you, of course you can't relate. At least you're honest about it. Growing up in California, the sunshine, even Vegas, and being a trust fund kid, that, it's hard to relate. It is hard to relate to us people that are out there grinding. Okay, Johnny Hollywood, let's go to the next subject here. This is about prediction markets, Johnny H.
Yeah.
can regulators stop prediction markets, insider trading? Most Americans say no. Uh, a mobile phone shows an app downloaded for Kalshi and other prediction market sites. Americans don't believe the industry can effectively reduce insider trading. A new poll from Scripps News indicates 63% of Americans queried said they were either not very confident or have no confidence at all on the inside, because we just read about these things about the inside trading that goes on, and we've seen what happened after the U.S. military. One of the people there involved, they were arrested because they put like $39,000. Don't quote me exactly on the will Nicolas Maduro, the former Venezuelan dictator, be arrested or out of power. So that was a big thing here, and it's of course it's in the media talking about that, and to be honest with you, the prediction markets, yeah, they offer some of the things are really stupid what they offer, and some of the things that I mean, Polymarket was just had a big subject about the White House correspondent dinner. So Polymarket offered a field. Um, it's just ridiculous that they actually offered something which it should violate the commodities and futures trading rules here and regulation. You cannot have any kind of um, some of these things that they involve with things like Maduro or anything. They what the market was on the White House Correspondents' Dinner was, will anyone be kicked out of the dinner? One contract asked, and yeah, I mean, come on, you can't have that kind of a market. You can't have political markets like that. I agree. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's one thing that's for sports and different events, but not any kind of catastrophes or anything. I think that's absolutely terrible. But I will tell you one thing. Now that it's baseball season and you see the lines on a lot of these prediction markets, there's more than just the Kalshi and Poly markets. There's other ones also, and the markets are so much tighter than that of these sports books on this coast especially, but even in Las Vegas, you know we used to have 10-cent lines everywhere. What that means, John, is minus $1.60 on a baseball game. On the favorite, you lay 160 to win 100. On the underdog, you bet 100 to win 150. That's gone. That's gone.
Yep.
There is none of that at all. South Point, I think, goes up to 150 now. It's the only sports book in Las Vegas, minus 150 on the favorite, come back $1.40. Everyone else is minus 150, come back $1.35, or even down to $1.25. Baseball is unbeatable at 20-cent lines. Unbeatable. Cannot do it. Don't even play it. That's how strong it is.
Really?
Yes, unbeatable. They have the game on the efficient market at 20-cent lines. Forget it. Forget about it. Absolutely forget about it. Even Johnny O with his world famous Dodgers bets that put many people in a homeless shelter
Man,
will tell you.
you're not
Yeah,
kidding. You're not
yeah.
kidding, especially this last like 10 days or whatever.
Lay a
Dodgers
run and a
have been an
half. Yeah,
absolute
yeah.
disaster.
No,
Yeah.
but going back to what I'm saying though, it probably is the way of the future. I have not graduated to these yet, and Nevada has some questions of law there, whether Kalshi is even legal as of April 2026. Reading an article here, so I will wait for that to be overturned or the gray to turn to black or white, and we'll find out what that is. I want to know if it's perfectly legal to play. And it's just that I see more and more people going over to the prediction markets, which after someone showed me on his phone and showed me how easy it is to use. You're buying contracts, but you're literally, it's the same thing as you're gambling. For people that say it's not gambling, it's definitely gambling. But however, it's a benefit for the consumer that does play these things. You're saving a lot of juice in the end. Literally, you're betting 2 or 3 cent baseball lines, even after their commission, compared to that of the places that are 20 and 25-cent money lines, which I'm just telling you, even for football, the money line on football, NFL, is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It's not 11 to 10 on a side. It's 11 to 10 on maybe on sides, but as far as the money lines in Vegas, there's still minus $1.40, come back $1.20 on some of these wider markets that are these new sports books that came to the country. Oh my God, minus $1.40 is coming back like $1.15 or $1.10. That's ridiculous on money line. So that's where these prediction markets and these places like Kalshi and stuff definitely benefit the player. Anything else, John? Anything else going on? Nothing really. What are you up to? What have you been doing?
I went to the playoff game last night, Golden Knights.
Of course you did.
And it was a blast. It went double overtime. Knights won 5-4.
I told my friends, I told my guys that are here, and I said, "Wow, what a game last night!" I didn't know it was double. It was double overtime. Wow, how exciting was that? Was the place going crazy?
Crazy, absolutely crazy. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I went with Ian. Ian's in town,
and Ian had to take you. He had a. I'm sure you got free tickets. Ian probably paid for you guys, right?
Ian bought tickets, and then my buddy has a suite, and we went into the suite.
Sneak in? Don't say went. Did you sneak in the suite?
No. My buddy, Dr. Corsandi, everybody's favorite plastic surgeon here in town, did my hair transplant, even though I'm not, rocking the hair today.
Did he do your teeth too, and the face?
No, that's Dr. Kim over at Hollywood Smile.
Guy.
This is great. You're doing a real good sponsor shout out segment here. I like it.
Yeah. All right, good. But so you got in the suite.
Yeah, it was fun though. It was really fun.
Isn't the suite cool? They have such great suites.
It's the best.
There. It is so good. John, we went to a Raiders game in the suite there a couple times, and isn't it cool?
It's great.
The suite experience is so cool. The things, maybe the seats aren't the greatest. You're not close to the field, but you're up above, looking at everything. And
I love it.
Experience is fantastic.
And I'll tell you what else is cool about Vegas. That I grew up obviously in LA, and Dodger Stadium after a game is a nightmare to get out of. Walking through the stadium is awful. And then the parking lot experience and traffic is awful. Here, I don't ever have an issue. You can drive right out of the parking garages, whether you're at New York or Park MGM. It's easy.
John, I have went to many games and concerts at T-Mobile. I have went to games and concerts at Allegiant, MG. I always say, I can't believe how easy it was to get out of here.
It's easy. It's easy to get out. Yeah.
It's maybe because the drive-in traffic's not what it is in LA or New York. It's so easy to get in and out. Listen, all the things I say, I'm tough on casinos and stuff. Vegas is a great place to live for concerts and sporting events. And we have such good things. Restaurants. We have such great things in Vegas, and that's one of them.
And people complain about the new stadium, that the A's are going to play in, and I always see comments saying, "Oh, it's just what we need, enough stadium right on the strip. The traffic's going to be crazy." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? T-Mobile's right there. There's no issue. Allegiant's there. There's no issue. The Grand Garden Arena was there before. There's no issue." I don't know where people get this traffic issue from. I'm not saying there's no traffic in Vegas during rush hour now on the highway. Sure, there's traffic, but leaving the stadiums is easy. It's not a factor.